So winter is almost upon us. Yes, CAT 2022 is just round the corner. Keeping this in mind, we know each and every one of you is really excited, but is also looking for the last final push and the fillip that is going to add those extra 5, 10, 15 percentile to your final CAT score. Well, because of this, BYJU'S Exam Prep brings to you the last lap to CAT 2022, starting on the 17th of October all the way till the 20th of November. Yes, 4.5 intensive, in fact almost 5 intensive weeks of preparation. What more, the focus is predominantly going to be CAT, which means, as we know, time, speed, distance and time and work in totality have almost equal weightage or sometimes even more weightage than geometry. So can we go ahead and leave geometry and just focus on these two? Can we go ahead and leave entire theta para jumbles and still score a 99.99 percentile in verbal? Yes, we can. This and much more in terms of preparation, in terms of intensive questions that we're going to look at and the smartest way of going ahead and solving that. So catch us on the BYJU'S Exam Prep app, and in case you missed that, on YouTube. But go ahead, download the BYJU'S Exam Prep app and also get a 99 percentiles kit which is going to help you ace CAT 2022. See you soon.
Good evening, all of you. I hope I'm clearly visible and audible to all of you. Hi, Varun. Good evening. Good to see you too. Hello, Aishwarya, Maitri, Gyaneshwari. A very good evening. Good evening, Pragya. All right. So we meet again. This time we'll talk about para summary questions. Yes? Great. Clearly visible and audible. Perfect. Hi, Amrit. Hello, Chalu. That shouldn't be the case, Deepankar. Hello, Dhyanesh. Good evening. Good evening, Kunal. Hi, Karthik. Hello, Sachin. Good evening, Narsimha. All right. So, para summary, 9 marks in CAT exam. Yes, so that's what we are going to focus on as to how to get those 9 marks. I'm sure a lot of you have taken a lot of mocks where you've tried to attempt these questions. You've got some of them correct, but all of you seem to be searching for this rule that, what is the rule that we should apply to a para summary question that we are able to eliminate correctly. So let's see if there are some such rules that we can apply, some such guidelines to be more precise that we can apply to these questions that can actually help us to attempt these questions accurately under the time constraint that we have. Right, that is going to be on the agenda for today. I'm going to talk to you about how to solve these questions, and then, of course, we are going to solve some questions. Right? Hello, all of you who are just joining. Hi, Rakesh, Divyashri, Prajwal. Dipankar, you have to make a choice, I'm afraid. Uh, Again, this shouldn't have happened. Hi, Amrit. Okay, I've already said hi to you. Right. So let's begin. Yes. Okay. All right. So Ganeshwari is saying it got over at 4:30. Are you watching a recorded session, Dipankar? Yes. So why do we need this session? Because of course we want to improve in CAT. Yes, we want to score more. That's why we need this session. We'll of course brush up the basics. Yes, because again we should never forget our basics. They help us a lot more than we realize. And students who don't give a lot of importance to them often get the questions wrong. Okay, they think okay the basics are of no use. There's just no rule here. So let me just attempt each question as it comes. These two are extreme mentalities, just going by the basics and not following basics at all. So we'll carve a middle path today for ourselves, right? Also, of course, can we have some shortcuts? Let's see if that is possible, and if yes, how to apply them. That's also we are going to see, right? Okay, so verbal ability in CAT. If I talk about the all the 8 questions out there, I think by now all of you know from what all sources they are usually framed, what all you should read in order to get better at them. Still, for your benefit, let me just reiterate this that based on an analysis of the last 5-year papers, 35 out of 108 questions in your verbal ability they have come from biology, linguistics, science and tech. And when it comes to biology, when it comes to science and tech, they are also important for your RC passages. So I hope that you have been reading and that you will continue to read a lot of articles based on zoology, biology, ecology, science and tech, because they are going to help you for your RCs also and here also for your VA as well. Okay, just add linguistics to the equation and you will be preparing for the, I could say that the probable topics, right? Of course, see, other topics have also appeared. So politics has appeared, okay, business and economics has appeared. So it's not like these are the only genres out there, but yes, they have formed a significant chunk of your questions in the previous year papers for all of these parajumbles, para summary, and odd sentence out parajumbles, right? Now, what have been the sources? So I'm sure a lot of you know about the RC sources, right? Eon is a very popular source, wildly popular source among students. Economist is there, right? Time magazine is there, the Guardian, the NYT. These have been the popular sources for your RC passages in the past 5 years. Similarly, for your parajumbles, parasummary, and odd sentence out also, sometimes questions have come from these, Eon and the Economist particularly. However, if you look at your latest papers, let's say just the last 2 to 3 years, you'll notice something there that increasingly your examiners have started picking excerpts from various books. Okay, so that means that just reading articles, if you've just been relying on reading articles from the newspapers, that of course will help you to a large extent, but don't expect that articles themselves will form the sources of para summary questions also. They could very well be excerpts taken from non-fiction books, right? So if you have been reading non-fiction, that will help a lot when it comes to all of these question types in BA, right? These are again some of these things you already know, some might be new for you, and in case you haven't been reading these genres, I would suggest that you should. Okay, and be prepared that your sources of para summary questions can be books. Okay, so this is about an analysis of the last 5 year papers. Anything that you wish to ask, you can keep adding it in the chat box. I'll have a look and keep answering, right? Okay. Hi Hiral, hi Vivek. I just saw your message. I'm good. I hope the same for you. Right. Now, summary based questions, if I analyze what kind of questions, what was the level of difficulty of the questions that were asked in CAT 21, let's have a look. Okay. So, slot 1, 2 easy questions. Slot 2, 3 easy questions. Slot 3, too easy, and one was moderate. No difficult question here. No difficult question here. So, students often think that, para summary questions are difficult. They assume that. And there's negative marking also. So, let me not attempt it perhaps. Okay. Let me focus more on the odd sentence para jumbles only. That's a mentality that we carry, right? A mindset that we carry. So, I always tell you, don't go with such prejudices in the exam. You never know which question type comes out to be easy. Also, see, if you have been preparing for your main idea questions in RC passages, para summary questions, while not exactly the same, they do have some similar principles, isn't it? You have to capture the essence of the paragraph at the end of the day. So without trying such questions, I would ask you to not leave them. Okay. So for instance, you could do this that if let's say you faced slot 1 last year, you could have chosen that, okay, see, para summary is not my strong area. So let me attempt these 2 easy questions. Let me not attempt this one difficult question. That sort of selection you can make. But leaving them entirely, leaving any question type entirely, that's not something that I recommend. Okay. Good evening. In one of the latest mocks, I came across some RC passages on vocabulary. Yes, yes. Um, I can't say that whether there's a chance of it coming this year. If you remember in CAT, I think 19 or 20, a passage came which was an excerpt from On Writing by Stephen King. On Writing by Stephen King. So it talked about grammar. Okay, it talked about grammar. The entire passage was on grammar. So, yes, you can get such passages that are based on literature or linguistics, right? So, this I would categorize as linguistics. However, whether such a passage will come this year or not, no one can predict that for you. Okay. All right. Now, should you attempt the para summary based questions? I think I've already answered that for you. Yes, you should definitely give these questions a shot. Please don't leave them thinking that okay, they are difficult, thinking that they are, there's such a long paragraph. Why should I read it for just one question? This one question is worth 3 marks, right? So do give it a sincere shot. Lastly, uh, yes, you should try them. Okay. However, after trying, if you find something extraordinarily difficult, yes, then you can be selective. That can be done. Don't leave it completely. Okay. That would be foolishness. Now, coming to of a less significant idea. Yes, yes, Prajwal, absolutely. See, in any question type for that matter, right? What in an RC question also, what is the examiner's mindset to make usually out of the four options, two will be very easily eliminable options, right? Out of the other two, one will be tempting, one will be a close option. So that happens in para summary also. One option will be such that will probably have a lot of words from the paragraph, but will fail to capture its essence. Okay. Or that will, mimic the words that are there in the paragraph, but then will, let's say, change the cause effect relation to effect, basically invert the cause effect relationship, right? That the effect is leading to the cause. If it says x leads to y, the paragraph says that this will say y leads to x, so it will distort it. So that is the case with all the question types in VRC. One option is presented as tempting, okay, and it will probably have a lot of words from the paragraph. That can happen, so as to make it confusing for you. We'll see this when we attempt our questions, right? Okay. Also, don't forget this. Students, when they attempt parasummary questions, they're so caught up in reading and understanding each and every word of the paragraph that they keep on rereading, and then ultimately they decide that they don't want to attempt it at all. So that is time wastage. Whenever you prepare for your parasummary questions, even now, make yourself used to reading the paragraph once. If you read it, let's say the second time, if you feel like reading it the second time, I would advise that okay, at the most read the first and the last line. Get used to comprehending a paragraph by reading it once itself, right? If at all you feel I have not comprehended anything, let's say, okay, probably it's a difficult read for you. That is possible, right? So if, let's say, at this stage when you are preparing, you could consider doing this in the second glance, first and the last sentence, but don't develop a habit of rereading paragraphs. Then you'll take this habit to the exam and you'll waste time. Okay. All right. Coming to what kind of options should we eliminate? Yes, are there some rules? We are always searching for hacks, for shortcuts, for rules. Yes. So are there some rules here? There are some general guidelines. Okay. First, please eliminate those options that are out of scope, meaning that they present you with information that is alien or additional, which is not even there in the paragraph. How can such options be the answer? Right? So these are the ones that you eliminate easily, out of context, out of scope. Sometimes this is relatively more insidious in the sense that it will take a leap beyond the para. It will not be completely unrelated. But let's say the author has stopped short of giving an opinion on a matter. The author highlights the pathetic condition of slums in Mumbai, but the author stops short of giving a suggestion about it. That means does not give a suggestion about it or does not offer a very strong opinion on it, but your summary is doing that. That's a leap beyond the paragraph and that also goes out of scope. Okay, so beware of such options, particularly the latter type, taking a leap. Statements with extreme words, okay, quantifiers like none, some, all, or statements that are too definitive in nature. Let's say my paragraph says this may be the case, while my summary says this is the case, right? So maybe is the mild, the weak, strong difference. Learn to do that. So extreme words are not the answers unless and until your paragraph itself uses them. If the paragraph is using extreme words, of course the summary can use them, otherwise not. Different tone or theme. Okay, so I think this requires an understanding of the paragraph. If you haven't captured what the paragraph is about, you might end up marking an option that doesn't even match the theme of the paragraph. So here come in play your comprehension skills, and everything that you've prepared for RC is going to help you here as well. So try to understand the key ideas. The paragraph may have a lot of noise, a lot of examples, let's say, a lot of dates that are just peripheral. They are not the main point. They are just peripheral points. They are just probably supporting the key ideas. So learn to differentiate between the key ideas and the supporting details. Your VARC is about that only, right? And see the attitude of the author. Is the author positive about the issue that he or she is discussing, negative, or neutral? What is the attitude? What is the tone? Even if you make this broad distinction, no, positive, negative, neutral, nobody's asked you to zero in on the exact tone there. Acha, analytical hai. Oh, this is acerbic, it's harshly critical. No, nobody's asked you to do that. Just identify positive, negative, neutral. That will also help you to eliminate some of the wrong options, right? So these, some of these rules, if you apply, some of these guidelines, some of these checks, if you apply, I'm very sure that you will be able to distinguish even between those two close options, right? What is narrative? Narrative, one meaning of narrative is the storytelling part, right? The narrator tells the story. So narrative is the way a story proceeds. Here, however, we are talking about pronouns. We're talking about grammar here. Let's say your paragraph indeed tells a story, but it's in the third person, whereas your summary turns out to be in the second person. That shouldn't be the case. If the paragraph is in the third person, the summary should also retain the third person. Why should it have the second person? Okay, so take care of such minor details also. Sometimes they actually help you big time in eliminating the close ones, the close options, right? And options which are conclusions. Yes, summary is not an inference. Please remember this. Summary is not a conclusion. You know, our brain is wired to comprehend, to derive information from text as it reads it, right? To process information. But this tendency can be harmful if I apply it excessively to a para summary question. You don't have to conclude anything from the text. You just have to reproduce the text in brief, okay, in let's say some 10-20 words out there. That is what you have to do. You have to find out, acha, which is the correct reproduction, right? So please don't end up marking conclusions, predictions as your answers, unless and until, of course, the author has made a conclusion in the paragraph. पैराग्राफ में ही अगर कुछ conclusion है, तब आपकी summary में वो आएगा. It will come in your summary then, right? So that's why, you know, I always say that for these questions, there's no one size fits all approach. It also depends on your paragraph. If the paragraph itself has extreme words, of course the summary can have extreme words. If the paragraph itself has a conclusion, of course the summary can have a conclusion. Okay, students often ask me, should I go for that option which gives me, let's say, very specific details, or should I go for that option that broadly sums up the paragraph, right? So, of course, let's say if you are objectively looking at it without the question, you would be inclined to say this only, right? One that broadly sums up. But again, here also there's no one size fits all approach. What if the option that is broadly summing it up has one or two words wrong in it? One or two words, while the other part is perfect, but one or two words there are incorrect. Then naturally, I should not go for such an option. I have no choice but to mark this one. So it all depends on the paragraph that you get. It also depends on the options that you have. Remember that. You have to choose the best out of the lot. You look at some questions and you'll feel, इससे better summary तो मैं लिख लूँ, right? That sort of a feeling will come that you can write a better summary. But you don't have to write a summary then. You just have to eliminate and choose the best among the choices that are given to you. Keep this in mind. Don't be an idealist there, right? Uh, all right. Okay. Okay. So Kunal, on our YouTube channel, BYJU'S Exam Prep MBA, you'll find all my grammar sessions also. Okay. If particularly you're looking for something related to some non-CAT exams, then you can type that in the keyword and you'll get it. Okay. All right. So now let's solve a few questions. ये सारा ज्ञान apply करते हैं. Yes. So this is your first question right in front of your screen, your first paragraph. look at it, and again, see what I have done is think that the paragraph will disappear after you've read it once. Okay. So I'm checking your retention also today, because otherwise, if you have the option to keep rereading it, students keep doing that only, right? So read it once thoroughly, then I'll go to the next slide. Okay. I can come back if you ask me to, but try that you don't come back and keep rereading it, right? We don't have to do that. We have to be speedy. Okay. So let's begin with the first paragraph for the day. Yes. Let me know once you're done. Oh, I am so sorry. Yes, my I am hiding the text. I just realized that. Sorry, I'm just going invisible. Done. Perfect. Let's look at the options now. First, eliminate those two options that you think are extremely easy, and then don't extremely easy to eliminate, and then don't look at them again. Don't keep rereading the options also. Okay. So, uh, do you want to go back? Anyone who wants to go back, you can tell me. All right, I've started getting responses. Okay. All right. Let's see what the others say. Okay. So I'm getting mixed responses. Some A's here, some B's. One C also I've got. Yes, let's go back once. Yeah. Okay. So this library that has been described, the 1983 library does not exist when the speech was made, right? The speech was made in 1883. So that was the first thing that you had to realize here. Okay. Let's see what the response, what the correct answer is. Anyone else who would like to respond can. Okay. Let's have a look. Now, here in 1883, fine, Charles Cutter gave an address on futuristic librarians, or was it on a futuristic library? How the Buffalo Library 1983 would look like. So, right at this stage, I became suspicious of this option, where he stated that they would be excessively concerned with air purity and even exclude some people. excessively concerned. Okay, this again, see, this again rings a bell. All right. So we'll see. A futuristic address described the libraries 100 years later as being vigilantly monitored for temperature and air purity and for secluding the unwashed readers. Okay, fine. I'm not eliminating this one. A, I got suspicious of, but B, I'm not eliminating. See, Charles Cutter, in his address on futuristic libraries, stated that futuristic librarians would treat air purity in their rooms as the supreme quality to the exclusion of all else. See, again, extreme, right? To the exclusion of all else. Are they not concerned about any other thing? Does the paragraph give you that impression that they're not concerned about any other thing? So, that is a problem, right? Acha, I should go to the next slide perhaps. Wait. Uh, but here these options are blurred, no? The ones that are wrong. I'll have to stay here only. Anyway, so D, in a futuristic address called the Buffalo Public Library in 1983, Charles Cutter mentioned that the librarian's main job will be to take care of its atmosphere and air purity. So see, there are very clear, words for you that tell you, okay, these are not the answers. Excessively concerned librarians. Right at this stage, A eliminated. C, to the exclusion of all else, eliminated. Main job. Nowhere did he say that, okay, this will be the main job, okay, and there will be, let's say, other jobs will come secondary, right? Also, this part is not really covered here, right? Secluding the unwashed readers, which is also important because our paragraph, it tells us that everyone must be admitted to the delivery room, but from the reading rooms, the great unwashed are shut out altogether, right? Or put in rooms by themselves. So our answer here is B. Just a second. Yes, B, because to the exclusion, excessively, librarians, main job, all of these were alarms. Okay, only B is the one that is not extreme. You're absolutely right. Okay, all right, then let's go to our second question. So, this I hope is clear to you. I eliminated a lot of options because they were extreme here, right? Okay, again going invisible. Okay, let me know once you've read this slide. I'll go to the next one. Imagine that it's visible to you only once. Sorry, Pragya, I just saw your query. Yes, it is. See, Charles Cutter. Just a second. I don't have the question. Wait. I'll address your query after the second question. I'll address your query. Done. Okay. Quick, guys. This is not even a philosophical one. This is environment and very topical also. You know this. Okay. A lot of things out of this. So, yes, let's see what you say. Okay. Waiting for your responses. All right. Got my first response. Okay. All right. Anyone who would want to go back? All right, all right. So, Pragya, Harshad, B. Okay. Most of you, I think, barring one student, most of you have said B only. Okay. Let's see what the answer should be here. Right. So, definitely methane was the focus of this paragraph. Now, if you look at B, methane's global warming impact is 80 times more than that of carbon dioxide. It is stated in the paragraph. And the bulk of it comes from human related activities. This is also stated. Now look at this. The bulk of it comes from human related activities that must be curtailed in order to reduce global warming. Okay, let's go back to the paragraph once. So, around 60% of the world's methane emissions are produced by human activities, with the bulk coming from agriculture, waste disposal, and fossil fuel production. Human caused methane is responsible for at least 25% of today's global warming. Okay, so around 60% of the methane emissions are produced by human activities, and this human caused methane is responsible for 25% of today's global warming. Right? What does option B say? That the bulk of it, the bulk of what? The bulk of methane, right? Methane's global warming impact is 80 times more than that of carbon dioxide, and the bulk of it comes from human related activities. Okay. So, fine, okay, I accept that 60% can be called bulk, right? But what must be curtailed? That's the question. What must be curtailed? Are these activities, are we talking about curtailing these activities, or are we talking about curtailing these emissions, staunching these emissions? So, in this respect, B, doesn't it become a little distorted? That must be curtailed. Should the activities be curtailed, or should the emissions from these activities be curtailed? That's the question. Okay, to reduce global warming. Tell me. I understand that this is a very minute point, but this is how distorted options look. Yes. Tell me. Does it make a difference? Emissions from the activities, they need to be curtailed, right? We want to curtail the emissions. We don't want to curtail the activities themselves. So this does make a difference. Okay. B is not the answer here. Now, out of the others, which one is the best fit? Which one actually does not distort information? Tell me. I hope you are here listening to me. Okay, A, all right. It is much more damaging than carbon dioxide, okay, in causing global warming, and much of it comes from human activities. But the author has given an opinion also, no, towards the end. The author has offered an opinion. So whenever the author offers an opinion, that figures in a para summary. If the opinion is one of the key ideas, right, it has to figure in the summary. So this one is incomplete in that sense. Okay. C is what you say then. Methane, along with carbon dioxide, is causing global warming, and much of these. But then this gives the impression as if for carbon dioxide, this is the case that much of these come from human activities. We've not been given this data for carbon dioxide, right? So, how can I include carbon dioxide also in the equation? So, this becomes again distorted. So, while A was incomplete, C is distorted, and even B is distorted here. So that is why that question, no, should we cover the specific details? Should we take that option which covers the specific details, or should we go with the one that is broadly summing it up? It depends. Here, the one that was covering the specific details was distorted and you had to read it closely. Sometimes, when we are in a hurry, we ignore this. That's why this question was included. So, D. Delhi, environmental warming. See, ultimately, what we call global warming, it is environmental warming happening on a global scale. That's why it is called global warming. Environmental warming can be reduced if methane emissions that result from human activities are reduced. तो हमें क्या reduce करना है? Methane emissions reduce करनी है. And this opinion, this suggestion of the author was actually the key idea behind this paragraph. Why is the author building all of this background? कि 60% यहाँ से आता है. It is responsible for 25% of today's global warming. All this information is being built, is basically the background that is being built to tell us we need to reduce these methane emissions. So our answer here is option D and not option B. Okay, very important to realize this. Amrit, I understand this. See, that's why this is called verbal logic also. Because what happens is, see, in logical reasoning, you usually have numbers, right? So when you are dealing with numbers, there's no subjectivity there. But when we are talking about verbal logic, the language matters a lot, and distortions are very easily possible here, right? So I understand your dilemma also, but then this is what it is. Uh, Pragya asked a question when we were doing question one that, isn't the name of Charles Cutter important to mention in the summary? See, Pragya, I agree that this, all of this has been stated from Charles Cutter's viewpoint. All of this was said by Cutter. So, in that sense, you are right. In an ideal summary, that should figure, right? However, where this name is mentioned, there we have a lot of extreme words and phrases. So, I can't choose extreme options just because they give the name of the person who gave the speech. I have to focus on the idea that was given by Charles Cutter also in an equal measure. So the idea becomes more important here rather than the name of the person himself because of the way the options are framed, right? So B is the answer in the first one and D is the answer in the second one. All right. Okay. Data was to lure us. Yes, yes, yes. Focus was on emissions. Absolutely. Okay. This was tricky one. Uh, Okay, so these again, looking at these questions also gives you this idea that see, not every difficult looking question is indeed going to be difficult. The options can be easy, and not every easy looking question may be easy because of the options again, right? So the options also have a lot of say. So just when you look at the word philosophy, please don't think ये तो मैं नहीं कर रही, I'll not attempt this question. Okay, probably the options are easy there, right? So look at it positively. Look at the third question, the third paragraph. Let me know once you're done. I am going invisible again. Okay. Okay, done. Read it. Let's go to the next slide then. Let's see. Okay. All right. Yes, yes, sure. Let's go back once. What does it mean? Seems to be on a hiding to nothing. To be on a hiding to nothing. Any idea? It's an idiom. When you are on a hiding to nothing, that means you're probably in a disadvantageous position. You're unlikely to succeed. Okay, that is what it means. I hope you've read the paragraph and we can go to the options. Let's have a look. Okay. Yaneshwari says B. Others, what do we say? Pragya also says B. Amrit B. Sameer, Triyanshi, Aditya B. Okay, suddenly the tide has turned. Okay, so the tide has turned for good. Let's see how B is indeed the answer. Okay, so here this actually became a vocabulary based question. Okay, because you needed to know the meaning of the phrase. To philosophy seems to be on a hiding to nothing. That means philosophy seems to be unlikely to succeed. It is in a situation where it's probably having a hard time and is unlikely to succeed, right? So um, believe it or not, in some cases this does happen. In some parajumbles questions also this has happened in the past, that vocabulary has actually become a deciding factor in which option is the answer, right? So once you realize this, you realize that okay, this is the key idea here. This is the opinion of the author, that philosophy seems to be in an unwinnable situation. Now I understand some of you must be thinking, oh, B says philosophers are in an unwinnable situation. Our paragraph is saying philosophy is an unwinnable situation. So ideally even B should not be the answer. But again, what did I tell you? We compare. So let's compare and let's see, are the other options better or not? Here we have a very logical basis of accepting B as the answer. You said C, most of you said C earlier. Philosophy has a 2500-year history, fine, okay, in the West, okay, and an extensive back catalogue of problems which philosophers haven't been able to tackle, right? So while it is covering most of the parts, right, it is not giving this conclusion, isn't it? That philosophy is basically, philosophy seems to be in a very bad position in that sense, that it is unlikely to probably uh, thrive any longer. I would not say exist because that will be going very far, to thrive any longer, right? Philosophers haven't successfully provided answers. They've tried long and hard, but nothing they've set towards answering has quite made the grade. So there are so many problems that exist. Okay, uh, and here we are saying because we are relating this conclusion to the reason, which is the structure of the paragraph also. So this matches the structure of the paragraph also, that okay, this is the opinion. And why is this the opinion? Because philosophers haven't been able to answer so many questions despite having spent centuries tackling them. Okay, so this idea of spending centuries tackling them is also important here, because the author has sort of stated it uh, here also, that okay, it has a 2500-year history, right? Also again, sort of reiterating the idea that itna purana hai, itne centuries laga diye hain, then also you've not been able to answer it. So this is also an important idea here. Okay, I hope this makes sense. This D is again incomplete, so because of which it is in an unwinnable situation, right? And are in a situation where they cannot lose, this was false. So I think no one should have thought of A as the answer. I hope I'm making some sense to you. Yes, this one was not very difficult, I would say, if you knew the meaning of on a hiding to nothing. So B, Bangalore is going to be the answer, despite the fact that this is also not perfect. That's also what I wanted to highlight through this question, that sometimes your summaries are not perfect. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. I don't see. They have not been able, isn't it distorted? Acha, acha. Okay. So Pradeep is asking, isn't this distorted that they have not been able? But my paragraph, see, it says no, the philosophers haven't successfully provided any answer. So yes, they've not been able to answer it so far. Yes, if they haven't provided any answer, then they have tried long and hard also. That means उन्होंने कोशिश करी पर उनसे हुआ नहीं. So they haven't been able to, right? So when we say answer, that means successfully answer the wealth of questions, right? That is something that is there. Whenever I'm saying that, okay, she hasn't been able to answer this question, that means give an answer that satisfies people. That is there in it. Okay. All right. And it also recognizes no that they have spent centuries tackling them. So tackle to kiya hai unhone. That is also recognized here if you see, which was there in the paragraph also, that they have tried long and hard. So that bit is acknowledged. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो passive ही रहे हैं. Okay. All right. Let's have a look at the fourth question. Okay, done. Perfect. Let's go to the options then. Okay. All right, all right. Okay. Anybody who wishes to go back can tell me. All right. So I've got A, D. What else? Okay. It's A versus D. That's going on in the chat box. Anybody who would like to differ? So, if you are giving D as the answer, uh, good, it does offer the opinion that is there, but there is a problem that is, this paragraph is a problem solution sort of a structure. If you look at it carefully, there is a problem solution structure. Economic models often strip away a good deal of social and political reality to get at the underlying concept. So, this is the problem here. Yes? When an economic theory is used to help formulate actual government or institutional policy, political and social reality must often be reintroduced if the policy is to have a chance of working. So now here comes the suggestion that this must be done. The key here is that, okay, we have to balance. There should be an appropriate amount of simplification and abstraction, and that depends on the use to which the model will be put, right? So if you look at the problem solution structure, A is the one that actually answers, I mean, has both of them. Economic models run the risk of oversimplification because we strip them away of our social and political realities, and hence should be seen alongside. Now, we must in a way reintroduce them into the equation. Yes, this is what our paragraph is also saying, that what we need to do. Just a second. Yeah, when actually this theory is used to help formulate actual government or institutional policy, political and social reality must often be reintroduced if the policy is to have a chance of working. So this must be done. Okay, this has to be done. So this solution is also presented here, that they should be seen alongside political and social realities to formulate governmental policy. So A is a better fit as compared to D. Okay, because this again does not focus on the problem part, which is pretty much the first part of the paragraph. The first part है paragraph का, that is focused on the problem itself, isn't it? So that's why A is a better option. Let's see what you have to say here. D covers only the second half. Okay, reintroduced and re-include. So see, reintroduced versus reinclude, that's a very minute point to actually decide whether D should indeed be the answer or not. The glaring error in D right away is that it does not talk about the problem. So I did not even think about reinclude versus reintroduce here, right? In another scenario, when let's say A mentioned only the problem, let's say, okay, and D mentioned both the problem and solution, even if it had the word reinclude, I would have chosen D. You get it? So I'm not focusing on a word level here, I'm focusing on a structure level here, right? Perfect. So fourth, A is the answer. Stuck between A and D. Okay, I understand that. Those are the two close options here. A is the answer. So I hope through these questions you are seeing the basis on which we are rejecting, and also how it is relative dependent on the other options. That's always going to be the case. Okay. Otherwise, this would have been mathematics. Okay. Question 5. Let's have a look at it. It talks about Franz Kafka. Any of you who know about him? Kafka was an author whom I find a little depressing to read. Anyway, just read this paragraph. All right. Let me know once you're done. Okay. The trial. Yes, even I have read that, the trial. It's refreshing in the sense that it's different from the others. Anyway, look at the options. Two options can be very easily eliminated. Okay, let's see what the others say. All right. Okay, let's have a look. So I've got just three responses. What has happened to the others? Come on. Just two more questions to go, okay? So I want your enthusiasm back. A, C, all right, all right. So it's A versus C. Okay, A versus C. Let's see what the answer is. Uh, do we talk about this fact that Kafka was ahead of his time? Is this mentioned in the paragraph? Let me just become visible first. Yes, is this mentioned that Kafka was ahead of his time? I don't see this in the paragraph anywhere. We do call him a modernist, yes. That the century was actually marked by the idea of modernism, yes. And in Kafka's peculiar and highly original case, this dreadful quality is mixed with immense tenderness, oddly good humor, and a certain severe and reassuring formality. So basically, we are focusing on his writing style. Okay, the combination makes him an artist. This combination, what I've just read, that makes him an artist. But rarely can an artist have struggled against greater inner strength and more sincere diffidence as to the worth of his art. So that means he did struggle with these thoughts about the worth of his art, right? So nowhere does the paragraph say that he was ahead of his time. We are talking about this, that the century in which he was born was marked by modernism, right? So eliminated this one. A is the answer. In A versus C, it's A that wins. Despite Kafka's shyness and struggles, he had struggles. Okay, we are talking about diffidence. Diffidence means that you're timid, you're shy, right? He struggled as to the worth of his art, about those thoughts. He is a quintessential modernist, as he, so we do talk about modernism, as he, quite unlike any other, manages to juxtapose tenderness and humor with pain and an implacable sense of anxiety and shame. Okay, all of this humor, pain, tenderness, anxiety, shame, they have been mentioned in the paragraph. Okay, uh, also the modernist mindset of anxiety and pain. See this. We talk about what Kafka epitomizes, okay, and a sense of shame and anxiety. Yes, yes, yes. That part is correct. That part is correct. That this is one of the aspects of the modern mindset. So there he is not wrong. I think I eliminated it right at the moment I read Kafka was ahead of his time. He was one of his times. However, he was different because he managed to bring in tenderness and humor also to this anxiety and pain, and he struggled about the worth of his art, right? So between A versus C, A wins. Let me see if you marked any other options. Just coming to the chat box. Why not B? Yes, that's the question. Let's have a look at why not B. Okay. So Kafka's ability to lace his literature with themes of modernism, such as anxiety, shame, and pain, intermingled with humor and tenderness, makes him an original modernist. Okay, all right. So uh, this while this part is correct that he was able to juxtapose them, right? He was also an original artist, that also can be said, right? But this part, this combination actually, tenderness and all, it makes him an artist, definitely. Okay, it makes him an artist, but rarely can an artist have struggled. You see this part also has to be captured, that this combination makes him an artist, but he is an artist who has struggled with his worth as an artist. Okay, and this makes him an artist as per the paragraph, not an original modernist. He is original, he also epitomizes modernism, but this idea, this intermingling makes him an artist, not a modernist. Also, the fact about struggling is not there in B. So I think, see, now that I'm reading this with you, I noticed this more clearly. But when I was reading it for the first time, for the purpose of attempting the question, my idea was, okay, struggles ki baat to kari nahi, right? So I eliminated this right away on an easy basis. Okay, so I hope this makes sense. Where was shyness? But diffidence, Gyaneshwari, diffidence. See this. Uh, Resistance and more sincere diffidence. Diffidence is when you are timid, when you're shy, when you lack confidence. Okay. All right. So I hope this makes sense to everybody. Why A is the best answer out here. These options were, in the sense, it was a very on a very logical basis. You could eliminate these options, right? There were no ifs and buts that I encountered while eliminating options here, right? So even though again, because it's about Kafka, it may look like a difficult paragraph. I found it to be easy, and I think it was genuinely an easy to moderate paragraph. Okay, coming to the sixth question. Indian history or philosophy, I think Indian history, from Tatya, there was an RC passage on British colonialism in India. So it's not like it prefers Western philosophy. It's just that there's a lot more stuff available on Western philosophy because of how history played out. So probably that's the reason. Okay. Also, it CAT gives us global issues. It wants to be seen as a is something covering global things. So that could also be a reason. Okay. All right. Let's see. Done. Okay. Perfect. So let's go to the, I think all of you will be able to relate to it. Yes. If you notice the tone of this paragraph, this is an easy question. Okay. Yes, yes, sure. Let's go back once. Let's see. All right. Okay. So it's a lot of D's I'm getting. And you're absolutely correct. D is the answer here. So that's why I said that, if you just notice the author's view, of course, that always has to be noticed. And here the author was positive about millennials. See, finally, someone is positive about millennials. Millennials prove the point. Generational thinking is seductive, and for some of us, it confirms our preconceived prejudices. So when we think in a very generational manner, "Hamare zamane mein to" manner, right? It's a very tempting way to think because that is our context, right? So, and it confirms our preconceived prejudices because everybody who's from the same generation holds similar prejudices. But it is fatally flawed. Such thinking, such generational thinking, हमारे ज़माने में तो, it's fatally flawed as a mode of understanding the world. Okay, so this part again was a very crucial part that had to be captured in the summary. Whenever the author offers a forceful opinion, particularly, and whenever an opinion is authored for that matter, that has to figure in the summary, right? So if you look at this, just a second, these are your options. Some of you said B initially. Popular millennial backlash against the stereotyping of their generation makes use of the same arguments against generational thinking. Okay, okay, fine. If you see, this is just the first sentence. ये तो पूरा first sentence हमने बस repeat कर दिया, isn't it? So this was a very big red flag. Okay, B could not have been the answer. D is the answer, right? They prove this point that this sort of a thinking is fundamentally flawed. And I'm happy that quite a few of you answered D. Prove the point because it's given in the paragraph, I can have it in the summary. All right. Okay. Good one. Sociopath. Okay. Let's have a look at the last question. The tone of this passage. If just a second, what's the question? If we were asked that, what should be it? Analytical, critical. Okay. So, what is the tone of this paragraph? Yes. Who will tell me? What is the tone of this paragraph? What would you say? Is it analytical? It's certainly not critical. Okay, it's not critical because the author does not spend a lot of time criticizing generational thinking, right? The author rather shows us how millennials are proving their point, right? So is it analytical or is it argumentative? That's my question to you. Why critical? Why critical? Uh, See, the author is telling us how is it that millennials are proving their point. The author is being the author is being analytical here. Okay, it is analytical. Why? Because the author shows us how the process actually of how millennials are proving their point, how they are proving the point. So it is analytical in nature. Okay, it's not even argumentative because author बस ये बता रहे हैं millennials अपना point कैसे prove कर रहे हैं. That's it. Okay. I hope this is clear, and this is also clear why D is the answer. Not a difficult question again if it comes in the exam. Okay, you should attempt such questions. Let's have a look at the last question for the day, then finally you are free. Yes, let's see this. Oh, I have to go invisible. I'm sorry, I forgot that. Okay, let's go to the questions then. Options. Let's see what you say. Okay, Abhilasha says D. All right. Others. Dipanshu also says D. Okay. It's not about one school, right? We do realize this while reading the paragraph. Okay. So that means option number C and option number A can be easily eliminated. Yes. Now, between B and D, public schools are being affected. Okay, let me just come back. Yes, public schools are being affected by the use of indoctrination charges in culture wars, which is not surprising, or it is not surprising that the culture wars affecting public schools are making use of charges of indoctrination. B versus D, yes. What should be the answer? So now sociopath narcissist says B. See, let's go back and check. See, we this sentence was very important here. Again, see the whenever opinion comes, we shouldn't be surprised then that charges of indoctrination are essential ammunition in the culture wars. So we shouldn't be surprised that today's culture wars are making use of these indoctrination charges, right? Currently, culture wars currently rendering our public schools, right? So here, public schools are being affected. That's not the main point. The author is saying it is not surprising that culture wars that are affecting public schools. These wars are affecting public schools, right? They are making use of charges of indoctrination. Why is it not surprising? Because we have been arguing about this question for centuries. Okay, so it's B and not D. Okay, very slight difference here. This is the example of a true confusing option. Okay, B versus D. The main point was not that public schools being affected is not surprising. ये main point नहीं है. ये surprising नहीं है कि हम ये charges use कर रहे हैं. Okay, so ये वाली बात surprising है. That's why B is the answer. So, some questions were genuinely tricky here. Some questions were easy. We have to learn to identify which one is easier for us, right? So that we do attempt those questions for sure. And please don't leave a question without trying it. I would suggest that because sometimes it may appear to be difficult, but the options may be easy. So you never know, right? Don't waste time reading the paragraph again and again. My effort to put the options on a different slide was because of this only, that I wanted you to read and understand the paragraph as if it would disappear after just one reading. Okay. At times there are questions that can be done with the help of options, something that I've already stated for you. Okay. And of course, you already know this. All of you are smart enough. Some were based on vocabulary as well. Ideally, that shouldn't happen. See, honestly, if I were setting the paper, I would never make that happen. But we have to be prepared for various eventualities. Yes? So I hope you performed very well in para summary questions. All the very best to all of you. We will keep on having sessions from 12 to 1, our usual YT sessions that we have every day. Okay, in these sessions, I have covered a lot of VA questions with you, including para summary. I'll now be covering RC questions, okay? Some RC questions, some popular RCs from previous years. We'll be covering those from now on. So you can watch them, do attend them. And in our last lab also, we'll continue with highly relevant sessions by Saral sir, Gaurav sir, arithmetic, yes, something that you were talking about a while ago. Okay, welcome all of you. Indoctrination charges. See, indoctrination here means whenever you are teaching an ideology to a child, it doesn't always have to be extreme terrorist based, terrorism ideology. It could be any ideology, right? So that is considered indoctrination. जब भी हम कोई ideology impart कर रहे हैं through education. Okay. So yes, we'll have an analysis, CAT analysis. I think all of you are aware of this by now. Do join us. It will be pretty detailed. And if any of your friends are preparing for CAT 2023, you know what to do. You have to recommend this course to them. And of course, we can stay connected via various social media handles, and we should. So do join various channels. Okay. Thank you. Welcome. Yes, I will do that, Vineet. All right. Bye bye for now. Thank you so much, Harshad. Welcome, Pragya. Bye bye. Welcome, all of you.